As the silver moon cast its light upon the empty tarmac, a chilling silhouette appeared under the flickering glow of a distressed lamppost. A soldier in a weathered uniform, eyes lost to sorrow, walked with purpose, wandering where he had once commanded a squadron. To those who have spent nights at Hickam Airfield in Hawaii, the story of this haunted spirit is all too familiar. The vision of Captain Morris forever captured in time, as he drifts amidst the whispers of past battles. Witnesses claim that despite the years since the events of December 1941, the air is dense with the echoes of heroism and heartbreak, mingling with the faint scent of burning avgas and gunpowder. He is searching for something he lost long ago, perhaps the peace that evaded him in life. Welcome back to Ghost Stories of the Battles, where history meets the paranormal. Here at Hickam Airfield, a site etched forever into the fabric of American military history, the very ground seems to hum with the stories of those who endured one of the darkest days in our nation's timeline. This airfield, a vital component of the United States military defenses, played a critical role during the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by the Imperial Japanese forces. In the chaos that unfolded that fateful Sunday morning, bravery met tragedy, with many gallant souls losing their lives, their sacrifices marking the airfield with an indelible imprint of sorrow and valor. Established in 1935, Hickam Airfield was not just a military installation, but a beacon of hope in aviation innovation and defense. On that day in December, as bombs fell and flames erupted, the airfield transformed into a battlefield, a site where heroism clashed with the grim reality of war. Over 180 lives were lost at Hickam, each life a story waiting to be told, their spirits lingering in the shadows of history. It's no wonder that those who dare to traverse its grounds today often report encounters with the supernatural phantasms of soldiers lingering in the periphery, voices echoing in the night, and an overwhelming sense that the past is not quite as distant as one might hope. Amidst flickering lights and chilling drafts, tales of ghostly encounters flow through the air, weaving them into the very fabric of Hickam's legacy. Historians, enthusiasts, and thrill-seekers alike find themselves magnetically drawn to the airfield, yearning for a glimpse into the lives of those who once grasped the controls of avionic machines. Each of these encounters serves as an unmistakable reminder that the spirits of the fallen persist, their stories entwined with our world. One such young aviation enthusiast, eager to uncover the airfield's lore, found himself roaming the museum's darkened halls, marveling at the artifacts left behind by courageous pilots. As twilight descended and shadows deepened, the air yet again grew thick with mystery. The enticing pull of history awaited him, in the form of a flicker of light by the hangars alight that would eventually lead him to share a poignant encounter with the very embodiment of Hickam's past. Join me as we embark on a spectral journey, one that begins with the last flight of Captain Morris. Story fun. The last flight of Captain Morris. The sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting an orange glow across Hickam Airfield, its once bustling runways now a canvas of silence and shadows. I stood there, a young aviation enthusiast armed with nothing but a camera and a heart filled with curiosity. Hickam was more than just a collection of old hangars and tarmac. It was a landmark steeped in history and airfield that witnessed the chaos of war, where brave souls flew into battle and met their fates. As the last light of day faded, I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. There was something in the air, something crackling with energy. Perhaps it was the stories I'd heard of those who had given everything for their country during the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Or perhaps it was the notion that not all souls had achieved the peace they deserved. The haunting tales of Hickam whispered in the wind, but none intrigued me more than the legend of Captain John Morris, a pilot who had perished on that fateful day, another victim of the devastating onslaught. They said he roamed the tarmac at night, trapped between life and the beyond, searching for a resolution to a mission unfinished. With the night cloaking the airfield in an ethereal darkness, I began my exploration, my heart pounding with anticipation. Was it foolishness, curiosity, or a deep-rooted respect for the past that had brought me here. Whatever it was, deep inside, I hoped to encounter the spirit of Captain Morris to learn what the remnants of war had not yet revealed. Before venturing further, I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the moment and willing the night to share its secrets. The stage was set for a personal invasion into the past, tightly woven with the threads of sorrow, bravery, and perhaps some ghostly interaction. As I roamed the vicinity of the airfield, my excitement grew. Hidden within the modest museum on the grounds were countless photographs and artifacts, relics of a time that had long faded but not been forgotten. Among the displays, a newspaper clipping from December 7, 1941, caught my eye. A picture of the very planes that Captain Morris had piloted, soaring gracefully through the Hawaiian sky, before they became targets in a deadly ambush. The photograph exuded a haunting quality, moving beyond the ink and paper to encapsulate loss. Iconic bombers with their stark silhouettes hovering on the edge of oblivion filled my mind with fragments of stories. Lives abruptly interrupted, dreams derailed in the midst of warfare. I felt a connection to Morris, standing before the artifacts that he may very well have touched. But as the afternoon turned to twilight, a palpable tension descended upon the airfield. I perused the aisles in silence until duty tugged at my heart, and I made my way outside. The first stars twinkled against the deepening night, illuminating the vast emptiness around me. As I stood there, straining my ears against the wind, lights flickered in the distance near the hangars. Curiosity overtook me, and I made my way toward the source. The distant hum of engines began to stir, faint but unmistakable, a siren call inviting me deeper into the shadows. With each step, the sounds grew clearer. The revving of aircraft engines, the patter of boots against pavement. The night air was charged with a sensation I couldn't quite name, a feeling of being both absolutely present and inexplicably detached from the world around me. As the flickering lights danced in the periphery, I realized it wasn't just a product of imagination. It felt almost like a promise of an encounter. Suddenly, I emerged into a stretch of concrete where the tarmac met the backdrop of the hangar. The lights illuminated a figure, a man, dressed in a vintage flight suit, standing at the edge of the runway, his back to me. His hair was dark, tousled, and slightly windblown, reminiscent of the 1940s style. This was it. I could hardly catch my breath. I was about to witness something beyond the veil of time. "Captain Morris," I called, my voice steady despite the tempest of emotions crashing within me. The figure turned, revealing the somber yet strikingly handsome face of the pilot. Deep lines etched into his skin, the mark of a life lived fully yet tragically cut short. "Who calls me?" he asked, his voice uneasy as if struggling to echo in both this world and the next. "I'm just an admirer of history," I said, struggling to maintain composure. "I've read about you, about your last mission." His eyes, filled with both brilliance and despair, seemed to pierce through me. "History? It is but a specter, a facade that offers no solace. My mission, my flight ended in flames. I am bound, wandering this tarmac until I can find peace." I felt a lump form in my throat as I struggled to absorb the weight of his words. Captain Morris was more than just a ghost. He was a testimony to the pain and sacrifice of war. "What happened that day?" I asked, genuinely wanting to understand his burden. He hesitated, the flickering lights casting shadows over his tormented expression. "We soared into battle, young and brave. The roar of engines filled the air with a beautiful promise of glory. But that promise became ashes. I lost men that day, friends who depended on me to lead them home. When the bombs fell and chaos descended, I sacrificed my life in the air, but I never left this place. I fly amongst my fallen comrades, eternally searching for closure." I glanced around the airfield, the memories of destruction that played out here flashing like old film reels in my mind. The loss was palpable. "What if I could help you find closure?" I offered, uncertain of what that even meant. "What do you need?" "My spirit longs for recognition," he whispered, his form shimmering slightly in the night's glow. "I need to be remembered for the courage I showed and the lives I lost." I wish for someone to hear my story before I can ascend. The gravity of his request weighed upon me. Then let me share it, I promised, sensing the urgency in his words. Allow me to tell your tale, Captain. You and your comrades deserve remembrance, every one of you. Morris looked at me, hope igniting within the depths of his sorrow. Yes? If you can carry our stories, if you can honor them, I can finally be free. Tell me everything, I urged, the words flowing from my heart. I prepared to document the history of Captain Morris, not just for myself, but also as a promise to him. The air around us buzzed with energy, as if the spirit of the airfield itself listened intently. As Captain Morris began to recount the harrowing stories of the attack, the valor, the fear, the sacrifices, I broke into shivers. Flickers of light ignited around me, and in the depths of the night, I felt the presence of many others. The echoes of soldiers lost at sea, in the air, and on land. Their stories spilled like water from a broken dam, pooling around us as Captain Morris revealed the details of his last flight, the upheaval in the skies above Pearl Harbor, and the anguish of remaining behind. With every word he shared, I could feel the weight lifting from his spectral body, the sense of duty easing into acceptance. The insights shared in those moments were powerful, imbued with a tangible sense of closure, as the remorse melted away like morning fog beneath the sun. After what felt like hours of conversations that bridged the chasm between the past and present, Captain Morris smiled sadly, his gaze softening. You have done more than I had ever hoped. The memory lives again, transcending life and death. And now, I can finally take my leave. A brilliant light enveloped him, warm and inviting. I watched in awe as the figure began to dissolve, casting off the shackles of lingering regret. The airfield, once immersed in somber energy, shifted as the light expanded, sweeping through the hangars and shafts of concrete like a wave of renewal. Thank you, I whispered, tears filling my eyes in an unexpected surge of loss. Captain Morris nodded once, a spectral salute, as the brilliance enveloped him entirely, illuminating the night. And then he was gone, a mere memory fluttering on the breeze, echoing through time. The airfield grew quiet. The faint sounds of a nightingale announcing dawn's approach. I had emerged from a world of mourning into one filled with hope. A profound sense of peace washed over me, confirming I had borne witness to something beautiful and tragic, a soldier finding solace from the burdens of the past. I stood alone, surrounded by the silhouettes of crumbling structures, bathed in the soft glow of the coming dawn. Inspired, I took one last picture of the tarmac, capturing not just an airfield but a sacred ground holding stories that deserved to escape from echoes into living memory. Though Captain Morris was gone, his spirit still wandered the grounds, now free to glide alongside his comrades, a bittersweet farewell, wrapped in everlasting remembrance. As the day broke over Hickam Airfield, I knew I would take Captain Morris's story with me, carrying the weight of his past in the future, a promise to honor the fallen, and a connection to a history that ebbed and flowed like the tides against the shores of Hawaii. With the sun rising, illuminating the scars of a land haunted by war, the airfield stood as a testament to both loss and resilience. This space, filled with spirit and memory, would draw others in like myself, searching for stories hidden in the shadows. I could only imagine what new revelations awaited an upcoming paranormal investigation team, drawn to uncover the airfield's many secrets. Their journey would delve into the layers of its haunting past, capturing echoes from beyond that still resonate today. Story 22. Echoes of the past. The aroma of salt water mingled with the crisp energy of adventure as the paranormal investigation team arrived at Hickam Airfield. Dusk settled like a whisper over the site where honor and sadness converged, the fading light casting long shadows across historic hangars, old control towers, and remnants of another era. As the team unloaded their equipment, a mixture of excitement and trepidation danced in their eyes. They were here to document the elusive spirits said to haunt the area, who were forever tethered to the tragic events of Pearl Harbor. Led by a seasoned investigator, Sarah, the group comprised 3 additional members: Jake, the tech-savvy skeptic; Mia, an empath who often felt the past's pain, and Danny, a history enthusiast with a penchant for ghost stories. Together, they formed an eclectic mix, each driven by a quest not only for thrills, but for an understanding of the souls who rest uneasily at Hickam. As they gathered for a pre-investigation briefing, Sarah laid out their objectives: to capture evidence of the paranormal, participate in interviews with locals who have faced encounters, and share their findings with a broader audience. She emphasized that their approach was grounded in respect. While the past could be frightening, it was necessary to honor those who had served and sacrificed. "Remember," she said, her voice steady yet reverent, "this isn't just about capturing ghosts. It's about connecting with memories that deserve to be honored." The atmosphere thickened as they contemplated the significance of their mission, amidst the solemnity of the day's remembrance. The first leg of their investigation involved interviewing local residents. The tales that emerged were haunting and poignant, enveloping each team member in the air of sorrow and sacrifice that permeated Hickam. A grizzled veteran named Mr. Coe shared his experiences. "I was just a little boy when it happened," he began, his voice cracking with the weight of nostalgia. "But I still hear the sounds. The echoes of planes, the anguished cries of the fallen. Sometimes they come back on December 7th, searching for something they lost." Mia shivered, empathizing with the emotional scars etched deep within the old man's heart. "The ghosts don't just show themselves at night, you know. They linger in the air, in the smell of burning oil, in the rustling leaves." He paused, his gaze distant as he remembered. "I've seen them many times. Soldiers walking the tarmac, their faces twisted in anguish." Jake, skeptical yet intrigued, raised an eyebrow. "You really think they're trying to communicate something? Like unfinished business?" Mr. Coe nodded gravely. "You have to understand, boy, many of them died young without a chance to say goodbye or fulfill their dreams. What would you do if you were cut short like that?" After the interviews, the team set up their equipment in strategic locations around the airfield. They chose the old control tower first, once bustling with activity, now a silent echo of courage and chaos. "Let's start with the spirit box," Sarah suggested, pulling out the device that could pick up radio frequencies, hoping to catch glimpses of whispers from the beyond. The air grew strained as they turned it on, the static crackling ominously. "If there are any spirits here with us, please make your presence known." For several minutes, nothing but static filled the air, creating an uncomfortable ambience. But just as Jake was about to brush it off as another failed experiment, a voice cut through the haze, chilling everyone to the bone. "Help use." The word lingered on the air, a haunting plea that echoed through the room. Their eyes widened, exchanging glances filled with both fear and helplessness. Was it real? Was it the result of electronic interference, or was it an authentic cry from beyond? Mia gasped, placing her hand over her chest, feeling an inexplicable chill invade her body. "It's true," she whispered, shivering. "They need help." With the weight of the call ringing in their ears, the team moved to the old hangars, each step laden with foreboding. They set up motion detectors and infrared cameras, positioning themselves near an abandoned workshop rumored to be a hotbed of paranormal activity. The air thickened, heavy with the stories of the many who had passed through these walls. As they ventured deeper into the hangar, the atmosphere shifted. A low rumble echoed through the rafters, and the ground seemed to vibrate beneath their feet. Suddenly, the hissing sounds of gunfire erupted in the stillness, sending shivers racing up their spines. "Did you guys hear that?" Danny exclaimed, his eyes wide with astonishment, scanning the area with an overwhelming urge to capture every moment. The team remained silent, listening intently as the sounds morphed into more vivid images. They could almost see the flurry of planes in flight, the chaos swirling into a tumult of sirens and shouts, the last desperate attempt of brave souls trying to fend off the inevitable. "Get down!" Someone yelled, a distant memory, a phantom cry from long ago that felt all too real. As their hearts raced in unison, they set the cameras rolling once more, documenting the experience. But the day had not reached its climax yet. Something else awaited them beyond the mere echoes of gunfire. Jake was the first to notice the flickering lights by the periphery of the hangar. "Do you see that?" He gestured toward a dim glow that danced in the shadows. With cautious determination, they moved closer, holding their breath at the sheer surrealism of the moment. Before them, the ghostly figures of soldiers began to manifest, translucent yet defined, as if carrying the weight of purpose and nostalgia. Clad in uniforms of a bygone war, they moved with grace and urgency, repeating their last drills, faces twisted in concentration, while unaware of the living presence observing their actions. "No way," Jake mumbled, the disbelief evident on his face as he raised his camera, attempting to capture these moments for posterity. The spectral soldiers seemed focused, as if rehearsing for something monumental, their fate already sealed in the eternal archive of history. Some team members embraced the unknown, lightening the air with laughter, while others recoiled, unnerved by the eerie realization that they were spectators to grief and valor fused across time. As the night deepened, they spoke with them, or rather tried to. The phantoms seemed oblivious to the living, caught in their timeless loops, revisiting moments of bravery and sacrifice. "Do you see them?" Mia murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "They're trying to tell us something." Hours passed as they sought a connection, hoping to unravel the soldiers' stories, to learn why they remained tethered to the airfield. Suddenly, Sarah caught a glimmer of movement near the corner of her eye, a figure dressed in an officer's uniform looking directly at her. "Sir, can you hear me?" she called out, her voice wavering as she took a step forward. The soldier paused, locking his gaze on hers, his expression an intricate tapestry of pride and sorrow. "Find peace," he rasped, his voice a gust of wind circling through the air. "Help them, please." Then, just like that, he evaporated into thin air. The team was left breathless, grappling with the reality of what they had witnessed. They quickly gathered around to discuss their experiences as apprehension clung to the space they occupied. "I feel like we're just scratching the surface," Mia said, her voice trembling. "They're trapped here, there's unfinished business." "I captured something on the EVP." Danny chimed in, his excitement cutting through the lingering dread. "Listen closely when we get back. Maybe that soldier reached out for a reason." As the night waned, the weight of their discoveries hung heavy on the team. What they had witnessed had profoundly altered them, knitting invisible threads between their souls and the lost souls of Hickam Airfield. Before departing, they gathered in a circle beneath the pale moonlight, a tribute to those who had poured their lives into service. Sarah called upon the spirits, urging them to find peace as they lit candles reverently, the flickering flames mirroring their resolve. After recording their evidence, they stepped back into the ethereal moment. An uneasy wind sighed through the air, whisking away their words like whispers on the wind. An electric energy charged the atmosphere, as they felt the soldiers' lingering presence, weaving through their minds like a soft melody. Though they never encountered another vision, the team left with their hearts full, having borne witness to the echoes of the past, a true testament that history clings to the living and souls remain intertwined through time. "There's so much we still don't understand," Jake murmured, his earlier skepticism washed away by the gravity of the experience. "But I want to help them. The past matters, and it's our duty to honor it." As they drove away from the airfield, a sense of resolve enveloped them, a promise to not only share their experiences, but help create connections that could transcend even the harshest boundaries of time. They were unsure of what awaited them next, but they now understood that their encounters were invitations to nurture relationships with those who had come before. Yet, in the quietude of Hickam Airfield, the echoes persist, and as a historian soon arrives alone to reflect on the site's enduring legacy, the voices from the past continue to resonate, waiting to share their stories with those who care to listen. Story through Reflections in the Mist. Jack Thompson, a historian whose passion for aviation history had led him to pen multiple articles and lecture at various institutions, stood at the edge of Hickam Airfield one fateful twilight evening. The sky transformed into shades of purple and deep orange, the colors mingling with the soft embrace of an encroaching mist that drifted across the tarmac. Every visit to Hickam felt like a pilgrimage. He was drawn to its hallowed grounds, compelled by a connection to the past that transcended mere facts and figures. This time, however, there was an unmistakable weight in the air, a sensation that he was not alone. As he took his first steps along the deserted runway, each footfall echoed with history, whispering stories of the brave souls who had once soared in the skies above, and of those who had fallen that fateful day on December 7, 1941. Jack took a deep breath, the scent of damp earth invigorating his senses. "I'll find you," he murmured, half in jest. But a part of him hoped that the spirits of Hickam would indeed respond to his calling, for he held within him a profound sense of responsibility. To keep the memories of those lost alive, to relive their stories, and to honor their sacrifices by ensuring they were never forgotten. As he traversed the mist-laden airfield, Jack's heart raced. The air was thick, not just with humidity, but with the echoes of the past voices that would sometimes dance lazily around the edges of his consciousness, tugging him toward the stories that lingered in the shadows. Above him, the evening stars placed their twinkling heads above the earth, watching silently as he wandered deeper into the heart of Hickam. The historic hangars loomed large as silhouettes, shrouded in mist, their presence both majestic and eerie, eliciting a shiver of anticipation from Jack. He stepped closer to one of the hangars, the door slightly ajar as if inviting him in. Just as he reached out to push the door further open, he heard it a whisper barely audible amidst the wind, "Help us." Startled, Jack froze in place. The tone was urgent, imbued with a sense of need that sent chills running down his spine. Swallowing hard, he stepped inside, the air chilling further as he crossed the threshold. The interior was dimly lit from the fading daylight filtering through cracked windows, dust particles dancing like tiny spirits in the air. "Hello, is anyone here?" he called out, his voice shaking. Silence responded, an echoing void that settled around him. But the thrill of discovery propelled him forward. He examined the remnants of a bygone era, folded sheets, old tools, and photographs hung in disarray. Among them, he recognized the image of Captain Morris, the very pilot whose ghost had been spoken about in hushed tones over the years. Jack knelt down to examine the photograph, feeling a strange tug of familiarity. Instinctively, he touched the glass frame. As he did, another icy wind wafted through the hangar, causing the hairs on his arms to stand upright. Something was definitely stirring within these walls. The following moments melted away in a blend of history and longing. Jack became enthralled as he recalled the tragic events of Pearl Harbor, the shock of the Sunday morning attack that caught the airmen and naval personnel off guard, a day engulfed in chaos and bravery. He could almost feel the weight of his heart as he imagined the harrowing decisions made and the ultimate sacrifices given. Then it happened. Out of the corner of his eye, a flicker of light at the hangar door caught his attention. Startled, Jack turned his head just in time to see the apparition, a soldier clad in 1940s aviation gear, standing still among the mists that crept like hesitant fingers towards the ground. Captain Morris, just as he had been described in the old tales, eyes full of sorrow, mouth pressed into a grim line, as if struggling to speak. Captain Morris. Jack's own voice was weaker than he intended. Are you here?" The figure hesitated before nodding, a subtle movement that sent ripples through the ethereal air. Jack felt an overwhelming pull, as though the lines of time had blurred right in front of him. With a deep, shuddering breath, he attempted to establish a line of communication. "Can you tell me what you want?" he implored, his heart pounding, both in fear and a profound sense of responsibility. "I'm here to listen." There was a long pause before the captain's voice broke through the stillness, peaceful yet filled with longing. I can't find my way." "What do you mean?" Jack leaned closer, fascinated and saddened by the figure's plight. "What happened?" Morris's eyes, though hollow with the passage of time, burned bright with an earnest urgency. There was a mission of flight I could not complete. My men belonged in the air with me, and some never returned. Jack's heart clenched. He was witnessing something monumental, the very manifestation of grief and unfulfilled duty. You want me to remember them, don't you? Yes. The ghostly captain replied, his voice echoing with a weight that enveloped Jack's spirit, as if inviting him into a deeper understanding. We lost so much that day, more than just planes. Lives, futures, stories. Until that moment, Jack had been speaking about history with other scholars, connecting events through texts and lectures. But here, in this moment of intimacy, he felt that history breathed suspended between them, an entity in itself alive, human, vulnerable. I promise, Captain, Jack replied, his voice firm. I will honor your story, all of your stories. As he spoke those words, a sudden blast of wind swept through the hangar, knocking over a lamp that shattered at his feet, a reminder of the tragedy that loomed during that fateful day. The glass, as once whole, now lay fragmented, glinting in the low light like scattered memories. Thank you, Morris whispered, his voice soft yet resonating with ancient pain. The air grew thick, and for a moment, Jack felt enveloped in the warmth of camaraderie, now bridging the mortal divide. Tell me what happened, Jack urged, his breath shaky yet controlled, his historian's instinct kicking in. Tell me about December 7th, Captain. With that invitation, Morris began recounting the sequence of events, his voice flowing like a memory surfacing from the depths of time. Jack's heart raced as he listened, sketching the tale within the corners of his mind as Morris painted vivid scenes of daring pilots soaring through the skies, lines of bullets tracing perilous paths through clouds of danger. I remember the explosions, Morris recounted, his expression pained. I remember the sounds of planes falling, the smoke blotting out the sun. We scrambled, fighting for our brothers, our territory. But it wasn't enough, was it? Jack shook his head, fighting back tears that threatened to flow. No, it wasn't. Captain, I'm so sorry for what happened. No, Morris replied, his gaze piercing through time, not sorrow. Honor. Will you remember us? Will you gather our stories? I will, Jack vowed, the solemnity of the moment weighing upon him. I will make sure the world knows what you all sacrificed. A glimmer of relief washed over the captain's visage, and for a fleeting second, Jack thought he saw the ghost's form begin to lose clarity, as if the ethereal veil were thinning. Thank you, Morris murmured again. Perhaps we can finally rest. Almost instinctively, Jack lifted his camera, knowing the images captured could serve as an everlasting tribute to those who had endured, fought, and sacrificed. He turned back to Morris, capturing his image etched in moonlight and mist, then invited the remaining spirits, trapped within the airfield, to join them. When he finished, the air shifted once more, heavy with gratitude. He could feel their energies twinkling like dust particles against the backdrop of night, an ethereal blend of excitement and peace. And through it all, Jack felt an unsettling clarity, unfolding the ties between past and present. Memories woven across generations, a tapestry of honor and resilience. As the moon crested the horizon, illuminating the airfield in a silvery glow, the spirit of Captain Morris began to shimmer, an ethereal light casting a soft embrace around his figure. Jack felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and determination flood over him, a promise fulfilled. Rest well, Captain, he whispered, a bittersweet smile on his lips. Your story will live on, and your sacrifice will never be forgotten. In tandem with the words, there was a palpable shift in the air, marked by a sudden lightness. Morris's form glowed brightly, then faded peacefully into the night air, leaving Jack alone yet profoundly connected to the past. The whispers began to soften, falling into a tranquil silence, enveloping him in a serene finality. Jack stood in reflection, born from intertwining histories that echoed in time. He felt at peace, yet resolute in his newfound responsibility. Not only would he document the heroes lost, but he would honor the bravery and sacrifice echoing through the annals of Hickam Airfield with vigor and passion. With a heart reverberating with duty and honor, Jack stepped away from the hangar, his thoughts lingering upon the tales that had poured into his ears. The mist, now gilded under the moon, seemed to dance around him as he walked the past and present entwined, encouraging him to remember, and more importantly, to share. Yet, as he journeyed back toward the entrance, a shiver ran down his spine as he contemplated the larger legends that loomed on the horizon, the ones that weren't just stories of individuals, but collective echoes of all who had given their lives in sacrifice. It was there, amid the reflections of the mist, that he also saw the remnants of tales intertwined with local folklore. Stories of phantom squads that would return to pay tribute. Tales that resonated like beats of a heart yearning for acknowledgement. Jack's resolve grew firm. He would ensure these legacies persisted for generations to come, inspiring awe and respect for those lost souls who traversed even the divide of life and death. Little did he know, the next chapter of Hickam Airfield's history awaited him, tales of the Phantom Squadron and the gatherings that memorialized their plight. Story 4 true. The Phantom Squadron, Hickam Airfield, lay shrouded in mystery and reverence as December 7th approached each year. The air hummed with an electricity that only the heart of Hawaii could muster, tinged with both the salt of the sea and the melancholy of history. Among the locals, whispers circled like leaves in the wind of a legendary squadron of pilots who, every year on this fateful day, took to the skies once more, honoring their fallen comrades. Gripped by this lore, a group of friends, Tom, Sarah, Mike, and Lisa, decided to visit the airfield under the pretense of merely enjoying the anticipation of the holidays. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the true essence of Hickam, woven with sorrow and valor, beckoned them into the unknown. "Did you all bring your gear?" Tom asked, adjusting the straps of his camera backpack, glancing at the darkening sky. Mike grinned, adjusting his cap. "Of course. I want to capture everything. You never know when we might catch sight of the Phantom Squadron." "Let's set up near the old hangar," Sarah suggested. "That's where the stories say the planes have been spotted most often." Excitement mingled with anxiety as they made their way towards the tiles that once felt the weight of so many dreams, ambitions, turned into valor. As they reached the hangar, the atmosphere shifted. The twilight deepened, and a chill swept through the air. Tom switched on the LED lanterns they had brought, casting a soft light across the worn concrete floors and crumbling walls. They set up their camera equipment, positioning themselves strategically to capture the essence of the airfield and the expansive night sky. It was Mike who broke the silence first. "You ever think that maybe all these stories about ghost planes are just, people seeing things? The mind plays tricks when you want to believe in something." Lisa shot back, lighthearted yet serious. "Or maybe the pilots are still out there flying, trying to feel free again. They gave their lives for this country, and their souls might just be tied to this place." As evening deepened into night, the group gathered around a small fire they had built, sharing legends and memories. They had learned about a yearly ceremony held at Hickam, a gathering of veterans and families of the fallen, reaching back as far as the attack on Pearl Harbor itself. Each year, they would celebrate the lives of those who had served, lighting candles that flickered like the spirits of the airmen above. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. A text from a local historian read, "Don't miss the ceremony tonight. It's been said you can see the planes if you truly listen. The pilots need remembering, don't forget that." "Sounds like we need to pay our respects," Tom said, a newfound determination igniting his voice. The friends decided to join the small gathering they could see forming in the distance, the soft glow of lanterns and candles drawing them in. As they arrived, a chill ran down their spines. Veterans of all ages stood together, their faces illuminated by flickering flames. There were stories shared, laughter mingling with tears. A younger pilot, wearing a patched leather jacket, stood up to speak. "My grandfather fought here. He says every year he can feel his squadron. They watch over us, riding the thermals, reliving their glory and their sacrifice," he said, voice resonating with emotion. "They come back to honor us, like we honor them tonight." As the night wore on, the group stood in solemn appreciation, Candles flickered in the soft breeze, like the souls of the brave men and women who had served their country. Just as the ceremony reached its peak, a low rumble began to sweep over them, growing louder, emanating from the very heart of Hickam. Eyes widened, hearts raced. "Is that?" Tom stuttered, hope and fear intermingling in his voice. "I think it might be the planes," Lisa exclaimed, glancing around, searching for the source. In the sky, ghostly outlines began to emerge, illuminated by the moon that had climbed high above. The shadows grew more defined as they drew closer phantom planes, gliding effortlessly, their wings shimmering in the silver light. Gasps erupted from the gathering crowd as the planes soared low above them, their engines roaring as though they had returned from another world to honor their fallen friends. The sight was surreal, breathtaking, a squadron honoring their own. As the planes flew over Hickam, a wave of energy washed over the crowd. Spirals of wispy clouds began to form at their edges, giving them an almost ethereal quality. The sounds of distant wartime music seemed to waft through the air, amplified by feelings of collective remembrance. Tom looked at his friends, wide-eyed. This is incredible. Yet more than the awe of the spectacle gripped them, they sensed the palpable weight of longing that accompanied the fleet. Each formation revealed the sorrow of the pilots who had never returned, their essence intertwined within the planes that soared above. Just then, a nearby veteran, tears glistening in the moonlight, whispered, "They're here every year, but this is the most I've seen. They're not just memories, they're family. They've come back to us." The group watched as the planes executed graceful maneuvers, dipping and diving, celebrating camaraderie forged in the trials of war but marred by the scars of sacrifice. As the last formation prepared to soar into the distance, a sudden silence enveloped the airfield, leaving only murmurs. Then, Lisa gasped, "Look, the silhouettes! They're there at the edge of the hangar." The group turned to behold faint, ghostly figures, uniformed pilots, standing respectfully with their hands over their hearts, joining the remembrance. Honor and loss swirled in the air around them like a heavy fog. One by one, members of the squadron began to step forward, their expressions revealing sadness and relief mingling together, witnessing their legacy honored. The gathering descended into a reverent hush. Was this the closure the lost pilots sought? A final act of love for a life dedicated to service, now bound by time yet emancipated in this world of silence and memory. Tom, a surge of inspiration coursing through him, lifted his camera and paused before snapping a picture. But as the flash illuminated the scene, a profound silence fell over the crowd. The pilots noticed, their sorrowful gazes locking into Tom's eyes, and he felt a jolt of understanding pass through him. They sought not to be forgotten. As the planes began to fade, transforming into streaks of shimmering light, the group remained in reverence. In that poignant moment, an unspoken pact was formed among them. They would carry the story forward, honoring the lives lost that day, breathing life into the memories that lingered. As the last remnants of the Phantom Squadron disappeared into the horizon, the friends stood rooted to the spot, transformed by the experience. The depths of their hearts held a profound gratitude for the men who had done their uniforms to protect, serve, and ultimately sacrifice. With every story shared among them, they realized they had become part of that familial legacy. "Are you all okay?" Mike asked, his voice shaky yet hopeful. "More than okay. We are in debt to those brave souls," Lisa replied, her voice breaking but full of conviction. "Let's promise to come back every year," Sarah said, her eyes glistening with tears. "We owe them that much." And as they walked away from Hickam Airfield that night, leaving behind the flickering candles and echoes of the past, they knew they would return. They would carry these stories with them throughout their lives. And in some way, they had become guardians of those lost souls, documenting their legacy, allowing their contributions to carve indelible marks in the annals of history. Hickam Airfield stands today as a crossroads of past and present, its haunted remnants inviting those who dare to remember. Each ghostly encounter, from the Phantom Squadron soaring across the Hawaiian skies to the fleeting moments shared with lost spirits, reminds us of the sacrifices made in a long-ago conflict. The weight of history presses upon the air, and every flickering light seeks to illuminate the soul of those who once soared above. As we tread lightly upon the hallowed ground, we enrich our understanding of their legacy linked by time, by stories that shape our collective memory. These sacred tales, echoing through time, compel us to respect those who fought for freedom, urging us to remember. So, if you've enjoyed these stories or carry your own, come back often. Allow the ghosts of Hickam to teach us, to stir our hearts, and to remind us that history isn't merely something to be read, but to be felt, to breathe life into the stories of those who came before. And as always, like, subscribe, and continue this haunting journey together through the spectral tales woven in the air we breathe and the history we cherish. As the tales of Hickam Airfield's eerie past draw to a close, one cannot help but feel an overwhelming sense of reverence for the souls who once walked these grounds. The whispers of the forgotten, the ghostly apparitions of Captain Morris and the Phantom Squadron reveal more than just a haunting. They encapsulate the shared history of sacrifice, bravery, and the enduring spirit of those who fought for their country during one of its darkest days. Each story, whether told by an aviation enthusiast, a paranormal team, a devoted historian, or local residents, serves as a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a vibrant tapestry woven with the lives and spirits of those who came before us. Through the lens of these ghostly encounters, we are urged to contemplate the impact of the past on our present. The remnants of Hickam Airfield stand not only as a tribute to military history, but also as a testament to the human experience, our shared fears, our collective grief, and our unyielding need for recognition. The echoes of gunfire, the flicker of phantom lights, and the voices that narrate the stories of yesteryear beckon us to remember. They remind us that as long as we share these tales, the sacrifices made during the Pearl Harbor attack will never fade into obscurity. It's easy in our busy lives to view history as detached, something to be learned in textbooks and studied in museums. Yet, as we've seen through these ghost stories, history is intrinsically linked to our present. The spirits of Hickam Airfield do not linger mere, allied to the sorrow of their unfinished business. They linger to impart lessons of valor, resilience, and the profound cost of war. The narratives of Captain Morris, the paranormal investigators, and the local residents illuminate a journey toward understanding and honoring those who served, echoing that the duty of remembrance lies not solely with historians or enthusiasts, but with every one of us. As we conclude our exploration of the haunting histories at Hickam Airfield, it's essential to carry forth the legacy of those lost souls. Each spirit speaks volumes about duty, sacrifice, friendship, and the bonds formed in the face of adversity. They haunt the airfield not as tortured beings, but as guardians, reminding us of our responsibility to bear witness to their stories, ensuring that they are not lost to time. So, we invite you to open your hearts to the whispers of the past. Explore your own historical connections, share your own experiences, and honor the memories of those who gave so much. If you've enjoyed these stories or wish to contribute your own, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue our journey through the haunted histories of America. Together, let us keep alive the echoes of the bravest souls who walked, fought, and ultimately sacrificed at Hickam Airfield, for it is in remembrance that we truly honor their legacy.